Okay, great. Okay, we will go ahead and get started, and I'll kind of let people in as they are jumping on. But good morning, everybody. Thank you guys so much for hopping on here this morning. I am going to share my screen with everybody. One second. Okay, can everybody see my screen? Yes, we're good. Okay, great. Wonderful. Okay, great. Awesome. Okay. Like I said, thank you so much for hopping on here this morning. Today I'm just going to be going through kind of our 2024 competitive grant funding cycle. I can't believe it's already this time of year. I feel like we were just doing this last year. But time is just flying right on by. And so, but I do ask that you all just kind of stay on mute to kind of minimize the background noise. If you have any questions kind of as we're going through, feel free to put them in the chat. And we have Missy Adamchak on here, who is on our team at United Way, that will kind of be letting me know kind of when questions are coming in, but there will be time for questions as well. And like I said, this meeting is recorded, and the training and the PowerPoint will be available on our website shortly after this training is completed. And we also will be sending this back out to everybody afterwards who attended this training. So we will just hop right on in. Okay, so you will be working with me throughout this grant process. I think I know a lot of you, but there are some unfamiliar faces on here who I have not met. But let me introduce myself. My name is Katie Wise. I'm the Director of Community Impact here at United Way of Horry County. I am kind of over this grant process, and so I am the main grant point of contact throughout this entire process. And so if you have any questions at all, I am here to answer any of those. I'm here to walk you through the application. I'm really here to kind of just be that person to really kind of help, and however anybody may need it. And so our grant focus this year, it is the same as last year, where we're still going to be focusing on our 4 pillars and our 4 bold community goals in our community game plan. And so we're just going to kind of go through those real quick. So we have our health pillar, and our bold goals under there are, decreasing the number of suicide ideations and attempts, and decreasing the number of drug-related overdose deaths. So really focusing on mental and behavioral health in there. For education, increasing the number of children who meet developmental milestones and are kindergarten ready, and also increase access to equitable learning opportunities and high quality childcare for children and youth. For self-sufficiency, increase the number of Horry County residents meeting self-sufficiency standards. And for basic needs, really focusing on, a future where everyone has access to food, shelter, clothing, healthcare, basic materials, transportation, and a sense of security. And as a reminder, please mute yourselves, and so we can kind of minimize background noise. But these will be the 4 focus areas again that we will be asking people to kind of align with. So this is kind of what our grant looks like this year. It's very similar to last year. If you applied last year, it's a little bit different. There are some changes, but you will apply through the EC Impact database again. That's our grant platform. All agencies must align with the one bold community goal that best aligns with the program that you are applying for. We definitely understand that your program or agency can be addressing multiple bold goals, but we are asking that you just align with the ones that best align with the program that you're asking for. And it is an annual grant starting January 1, 2024 to December 31st, 2024, and those payments are dispersed monthly. You are able to ask for either operating, administrative, or program support. And we understand that it can be really challenging to find operating dollars. So we will fund, like I said, the operating, administrative, and/or program support. Really, just whatever you need. You just have to be able to justify that in the grant application. And if you are looking for program level support, you are able to apply for more than one program. You are able to apply for more than one program. It can be under the same pillar. It can be under a different pillar. but you are able to apply for more than one program. And so for the applications, they will be open starting on May 22nd. And there's like a small eligibility form in there that you have to fill out. I think it's the same as last year, by June 2nd to kind of like gain access to the full application. So May 22nd, the grant's open. You have to at least complete that eligibility form by June 2nd. And then the applications will close at midnight on June 30th. So we do have, I just wanted to kind of touch on this a little bit. We do have some new financial requirements this year. In the past, for when it came to like the audit and all that kind of stuff, we asked that agencies with a budget of $500,000 and greater, we asked for an audit, and anything less than that, we asked for a financial review. After some discussions with our Finance Vision Council last year and our board of directors voted to kind of change that because we recognize that it can be harder for a smaller agency to kind of obtain that review and all that kind of stuff. And we just know, even personally, United Way, how hard it is to find somebody to even do an audit anymore. And so we've kind of changed this a little bit. It's still the same where an applicant agency with a total revenue of $500,000 or greater will be required to have that audit performed by the independent audit firm. But an agency with a budget less than that, our board had created a financial systems questionnaire, and it's really just like a PDF that you'll be able to just kind of type your answers into. It's nothing too strenuous, but we'll be asking that that will be signed off by your board chair and then 2 other board members that information is accurate. So just to kind of reiterate, we aren't going to be requiring the financial review anymore for agencies with a budget less than 500,000, just the questionnaire signed off by the board chair and 2 other board members. So kind of getting a little bit more into the actual application. I know that you all have heard me talk about the collective impact framework for the last 3 years. You know, collective impact, really happens when a core group of people and organizations come together around a shared goal with a common set of strategies and metrics. No individual agendas, no duplication. Everyone's really like bringing in their strengths to the table to solve these social issues in our community. And so kind of where we are this year. So last year we had the common agenda that we kind of set out at United Way, which was our community game plan. And where we are this year is the shared measurement for data and results. And so this is going to be the biggest change, I think, in our application this year. So I'm going to kind of go over all of that now. But the ability to collect, measure, and share common outcome and impact measurement is at the core of the collective impact framework. And it'll allow us to demonstrate our shared impact and shared accountability within and across the community. And so at United Way of Horry County, we are implementing the results-based accountability framework. And we just did a training on this last week on May 4th. And it's okay if you weren't able to be there. We will have a virtual training available soon. I am working with someone to kind of get that up and ready to go. And whenever that is available, I will be sending that out and we'll have it on our website. But we are asking that everybody applying for our funding had either come to that training or to watch that training whenever that becomes available. So as soon as that becomes available, I will show it to you, or I will send it out to you all. And so essentially what the results-based accountability framework is asking, how much are we doing? How well are we doing it? And is anyone better off because of it? And I know this is something that we've been talking about for a while here at United Way. And this year is going to be like the first year that we're truly trying to implement it, even like in our own internal programs and initiatives, as well as our grant process. And so we will have shared measures in each of our pillars, and agencies will be able to select from kind of like a catalog of those shared measurements and outcomes. And I will kind of get into that a little bit more now. And so this is what it will kind of look like. The shared measurements will be available on our website, and I will also send them out to you all for each of our pillars. This is just an example of what it looks like. So this is just an example from our education pillar. This is measurable objective number 1 in there. So you can kind of see where We have the 3 questions, and then we have a list of performance measurements in each of these. And so, we really created these shared measurements, with our vision councils and with our task force whenever we were originally going through our community impact transition back a few years back. And we were also looking at some of the shared measurements, put forth by United Way Worldwide and the Global Results Framework. I've done a lot of research on some other United Ways kind of measuring similar issues in their communities and the shared measurements they have. This shared measurement kind of framework is really something that's been implemented just across the United Way network across the country in general. And so we were really able to kind of share ideas and kind of think about kind of like what are some of the best measures that kind of tackle the bold goals that we're addressing. But we were also looking at the outcomes that our funded agencies were already reporting on to really kind of see like what programs are out there. Are these measurements even something that people can measure currently in our community, that good stuff. Our current grantee agencies had a chance to look at these outcomes and kind of give us their feedback on them. But we are always looking for feedback and all that kind of good stuff. But I'll kind of get into that in a little bit about how this is going to look like in the actual grant process. And so we are asking that the shared measurements do align with the measurable objectives in our community game plan. So as just a reminder, the measurable objectives for health are, we want to improve outcomes of and access to behavioral health services for children, youth, and adults. And children, youth, and adults will utilize services that support the family and promote positive emotional, psychological, and social well-being. For education, our measurable objectives are children start kindergarten developmentally on track. Parents, caregivers, and/or guardians will utilize the services that support the family and the success of their children. Working families can afford childcare and can pursue positive enrichment opportunities for themselves and their children. And children and youth will gain essential knowledge and skills. For self-sufficiency, our measurable objective is increasing the number of adults and families who engage in employment training and financial education, increase the number of financially sufficient adults and families. Young people ages 12 to 24 have access to, prepare for, and pursue career and financial development. And the basic needs, we have several measurable objectives under here, removing barriers, getting that access to necessary documentations like IDs, birth certificates, different stuff like that. Food, healthcare, housing, basic materials, and transportation. And so this is how it will look in our grant process this year. So we will be asking that each agency is required to choose at least one measurable objective under the pillar of the bold community goal that they're applying for. So if you are applying, for example, education, and you just have to align with one of the measurable objectives under that education pillar. You can align with more than one, but we're just asking that you align with at least one. And under that chosen measurable objective, you must choose at least one performance measure under each question. And so one from each of those 3 boxes of how much did we do, how well did we do, and is anyone better off because of it? And of course, the basic needs pillar is a little bit different. And so for the basic needs measurable objectives, they will not have to be measuring the is anyone better off, because obviously it's really hard to, that's not kind of the services they're providing. They're there to be that emergency safety net for the clients that they are serving. And so they will not have to answer that question. And you'll see that on the shared measurements documents whenever I send those back out to all of you. But also, in addition to the required measures, you are welcome to create additional measures as well. But please do note that this is the first year that we are kind of implementing the shared measurements, and that this is the first year that it's really being implemented. These can be modified and adjusted over time. So we welcome feedback to fine tune the shared measures. These are not set in stone. And if you don't see yourself fitting anywhere, but kind of like in the measurable, in the performance measures, please just schedule a call with me and we can definitely kind of talk more in depth about it. And if you do see yourself fitting in these measurable objectives and shared measurements, but aren't sure like which measurements to maybe choose, please just give me a call. I'd be more than happy to kind of like walk through with you. If there's any that, you feel that should be added on here, maybe any that you think should be removed from here, definitely let me know. But whenever I send those back out, just kind of take a look at them under the pillar that you are applying for, and just kind of take a look, kind of really review them, and then we can kind of schedule a call to kind of discuss your program more in depth, specifically about how you might be able to fit in with these shared measures. And so, like I said, I think that's going to be the biggest change this year on our application process. And everything else will pretty much be the same. It's a very similar process to how it was last year. So all of the applications will be read and scored on a weighted evaluation rubric by our 4 vision councils: health, education, self-sufficiency, and basic needs. And these vision councils are comprised of issue area experts that helped us put together our community game plan. They could be previous allocation volunteers. Members of our board are serving on these vision councils as well. And we will also have a finance vision council too, where all they'll be reviewing is the financial documentation turned in. And so also just some helpful tips as you're writing your application. Write your application as if the reader has absolutely no idea who you are or the services that you provide. That's really important. And also avoid any like acronyms, any jargon that may be, kind of like relevant in like the nonprofit world or the world that you're in, but that the general public may not understand. Definitely maintain, that kind of like healthy mix, that diversity of funding, for your total program budget. That'll be really important as well. And one thing I do want to mention that I actually forgot to mention earlier is when applying for the grant, we don't do like a minimum or maximum grant award. We don't have those set, but we will only fund up to 30% of the program's expenses. And so just ask for what you need. Ask for like, what's necessary for the resources that you need for your program or agency. And we will be looking for, but we still will be looking for like that healthy mix of that diversity of funding. And don't request more than just like the essential resources that you need for the program or your agency. So what we'll be looking for, we'll be looking for alignment with at least one bold community goal outlined in the game plan, alignment with at least one measurable objective, your need identification, how you involve your volunteers, your fiscal strength, the scale and scope of your agency, and the capacity and infrastructure for your long-term sustainability. And so this is kind of the timeline for the 2024 competitive grant process. And so, as I said, the applications will close on June 30th. And so after that, the applications will be sent to the vision councils to review. And then at the end of July, beginning of August, the vision councils will have like our first initial meeting to discuss the applications that were reviewed and scored. Like I said, applications are scored based on the preset scoring criteria. And also, if the Finance Vision Council has questions about any of your financial documentation, we will schedule a virtual call with you to discuss that. And so in the beginning of August through the middle of August, we will be conducting our 1-hour in-person site visits of the applicant agencies that have been reviewed. At the site visit, that's when the Vision Council volunteers will have the opportunity to ask about your agency, your program, or your application. And in September, we will meet with our allocations chair at United Way on our board of directors to make the final funding recommendations to be brought to the board of directors meeting in September for final approval. And then you all will be notified of the grant decision in October. And then for that funding to then start in January. And so as I said too, EC Impact is the online grant management system that we use. So I'll kind of show you all that here in a second. But also I will be available for meetings really throughout the entire grant process. And even before then, if you kind of wanted to kind of just talk through everything before the grants open, I am definitely willing to do that. I am here for you all through this process. I know that we've kind of made some changes this year. And so I want to make sure that that you all are kind of getting the information that you need and that the support that you need from us, the United Way. And so I will be available anytime. We could schedule 30-minute meetings. If we need longer than that, that is totally fine too. But really anytime between 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, I'm available to chat about anything that you may need. And so I am going to, before I get into EC Impact, I'm going to stop here and ask if anybody had any questions. Okay, cool.
Actually, yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Sure.
So at some point, you know, when we look at really making an impact, multi-year funding is on the timeline. When
Yes.
does the United Way of Horry County look to transition to, you know, you look at, you know, each year now with community impact, you know, you get more finite to that, you know, the who can apply is restricted because of the questions that are, you know, from that needs assessment and the game plan and now the results base. So what point do we transition to multi-year funding so you can really have some long-term measurable results?
Yeah. And so the multi-year funding is something that we're talking about internally on kind of when the best time would be to implement that structure. I think right now we're still going to continue with the annual process only because we are still kind of working through it. Really, our allocation, our grant funds are based on the money that we bring in from our campaign. And so that really just kind of depends on kind of like what the campaign year brings in. And so at this point, we will continue to do, just for the foreseeable future, we're going to continue to do the annual grants because of that, just to kind of see kind of how that all plays out. But we do really want to eventually get to the multi-year funding that is in our plan. It'll be implemented eventually, just not for this year, unfortunately. But
yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be this year. I was just looking for when is it on the horizon? You know, because sometimes what you'll see with United Ways that do multi-year funding, they'll say, well, we're going to commit X dollars for you, and the second and third years are contingent upon fundraising. And then if fundraising is down 10%, then they basically cut everybody across the board 10%. If fundraising is up 10%, then those awardees are automatically awarded that 10% increase, because in theory, the better results, the more long-term, you know, then you're going to empower more, get people more excited to give you more money, so you can escalate that up. So I just was curious if that was on the horizon.
Yes, my personal goal would be that hopefully it's on the horizon, kind of over the next few years, that we'll start to implement that. But as soon as we kind of determine that, we'll definitely let you all know. And I see a question in the chat. If we have already had a financial review performed, do we still need to fill out the United Way questionnaire? That's great that you do have your review already performed. We are still going to ask that you do fill out the questionnaire. It's really nothing like too strenuous. But you are welcome to kind of send in, you are welcome to kind of upload your financial review as well for our finance team to kind of review. But we do ask that that you still do fill out that questionnaire, but it really isn't anything too crazy. Are there any other questions before I hop on to EC Impact? Okay. And as I said, you know, you all are more than, we can definitely schedule a call offline too, to kind of talk specifically about your program as well, and all that kind of stuff before the applications open and while the applications are open. Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
Can you tell me the board that came and did the interviews last year for the hour interviews, will they be changed up? The people that came last year, will we be seeing a different group of people this year, or will they be the same?
It really just kind of depends on who signs up for the Vision Councils this year. We do have a lot of the same people that are re-signing up to serve, but there are some people that weren't able to do that, that weren't able to sign up, that were a part of the allocation process this year or last year. And so there may be some different people that are coming to the site visit this year. And
Okay,
but
great.
we are, yes, but we are planning on something that we're going to change a little bit about the site visits this year is we'll probably limit the amount of volunteers that are coming. Like everybody, so for example, everybody that serves on the Basic Needs Vision Council, they're going to be reviewing all of the applications that are in there, but they may not all be available to, go on every site visit, if that makes sense. And so everybody will have like an idea of like kind of what your program is, kind of what you're asking for, and all that kind of good stuff. And then at the site visit, when we ask questions and all that kind of good stuff, and something too that we're trying to, that we'll probably implement this year is if there are any specific questions that we had kind of like during like our Vision Council's initial review of your application, we'll give you those specific questions ahead of time. So then that way we can just kind of really focus our time around like kind of the questions that they had. And then we're also providing an overall kind of agency overview of what you all do and the services that you provide, but just really kind of so you all are prepared of kind of what they're going to be asking for and all that kind of good stuff, if that makes
That's
sense.
really good. That would be a great help.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yep. You're welcome. Okay. Let me pull this up for EC Impact. And so I know a lot of you are very familiar with EC Impact. And if you're not, that's totally okay. I can even kind of do a one-on-one kind of session with you as well on kind of how to use the system and what it looks like. And so this is the test agency. And this is kind of what your homepage looks like. If you've applied before, you'll kind of see like your previous grants, your mid-year reports, your end of year reports, all that kind of stuff. And then the 2024 grant will be kind of up here at the bottom. And you can also see it over here on the side on the 2024 grant application. You can also see your previous applications as well. So you can always go back to see what you asked for before. You can take information from those previous applications. But you can see here's the 2024 application. I actually need to update some of these instructions in here, but I just kind of wanted to give you all an overview of what the system looked like. So here is kind of like what it'll look like down here. Here's like your agency information and your program information. And but here is where you would select a program. And so if you already have a program in the system, you can just click on that if that's what you want to apply for, or you can create a new program and assign it to them this program form that you can fill out. And as I said, you are more than welcome to apply for more than one program. And it can be under the same pillar, it can be under multiple pillars. If you're looking at trying to do more than one program, definitely feel free to, if you have any questions about that, like, can I apply for this? Can I apply for this? Feel free to reach out to me with any program specific questions, and I'll be able to help in any way that I can. But essentially, you'll just go through each of these things, and you'll be able to kind of fill out all of your information in there. And like, as I said, oh, and also over here in the resource center, this is where we'll have the performance measures, we'll have our game plan, we'll have our funding eligibility, all of that kind of stuff. You'll have access to the scorecards of like kind of how you all will be scored, what the scorecard that the Vision Councils are using, what the Finance Vision Council will be using. You don't have to do, this is from last year, you don't have to do the logic model this year. I'll make that very clear. We are not doing the logic model this year. We're just going to be, I'll have the results-based accountability kind of documents that we had at the training, and then also with the virtual training as well will be available on here too. So really anything that you'll need, any information that you'll need for our grant process will be in this resource center over here, resource and compliance documents. And also here is our logo as well. We do ask that any grantee partner of ours has our logo on their website saying that, we are a partner of United Way of Orange County. And so that And really, if you need our logo for anything that you all are doing, that is right here as well. You can also go to the agency profile if you could. I know it's been a while for some of you all who have kind of been in the system. And so if you could kind of update any of your information in the system, that would be great. Any address, if you change address, any maybe updated staff that'll be working on the grant. Anything like that would be super helpful to kind of have in here. So between that and then also you can kind of have any, if you can update like the contacts of like who will be in kind of like involved in your program and your main grant contacts in here, that'd be great. You can update kind of like your program information and all that kind of stuff in here. And so EC Impact is pretty easy to use. And so, but if you had any specific questions about EC Impact or how to use the system, I am available for that as well. And I see the question. Okay, very good. Does anybody have any other questions at this point? Like I said, I will be sending out this meeting recording. I also will be sending out the PowerPoint that I was just reviewing, and I will send out the measurement, the performance measurement outcomes menus is what we're calling them. And then that way you can kind of review them before the applications open. And as I said, if you don't see yourself fitting in there at all, or if you think that some measures are missing from there or some that maybe like just don't make sense to be in there, we are still willing to fine tune them. These are not set in stone. This will kind of be like an ever-changing document as we evolve and grow over time. And so I will send those out. And if you have any questions about the grant, about the process, about the measures, about anything, I'm always here for you all to answer any questions you have. But if we don't have any questions, we can go ahead and end our meeting today. But I really appreciate you all. And I appreciate all the good work that you all are doing in the community. So thank you guys for everything.
Thank you, Katie.
All right, thanks guys. Have a great week.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.